Welcome to our third episode of the season of This is Moose Country. I'm Scott McIntosh, joined by Brad Kusner. And Brad, we got a pretty cool guest coming up here in just a few moments. Sportsnet's own Ken Reid, author of a brand new book that's out now. We'll chat about that with him. And Ken's got some great Moosehead stories as well.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. It was great. Typically, we're kind of all Mooseheads related, but everything sports world, which was kind of interesting. And he's in the heart of the Jays run right now, so he's good on him for getting up. I think he said he went to bed at 2:30 and up at 6, so good on him.
Yeah, of course, this show's coming out on Wednesday, but we're recording here on Tuesday. We're all running on fumes here a bit, and Ken especially, it was up late doing that Jays content the night before. So, yeah, thanks to Ken for joining us. We'll get to that in a little bit, but we got to start with some Mooseheads talk. It was a busy week for the team, 3 games in 4 nights, 4-2 victory over Victoriaville on Wednesday, followed it up with a 3-0 shutout of Newfoundland on Friday, and then wrapped it up Saturday with a 4-2 loss to Newfoundland in those back-to-back games, first ever matchups against the regiment. Got to go back to that game against Victoriaville. Nice to get the W. I thought Liam Kilfoyle, perhaps his best game of the season so far, goal and assist in that one. Give us your overall thoughts.
Yeah, you're kind of bypassing one of the craziest minute and a halves ever. We had 3 goals in I think it was a minute and 20 or a minute and 30.
Yeah.
And the boys on the mic, Ian Robinson and John Seitman they found out that it was I think third quickest 3 goals. So not a record, but it seemed like a record. It seemed like it was so quick, but very interesting game. Came out hot. Obviously their goalie didn't seem ready, and it was one of those games that we kind of we came out, we had a ton of momentum, scored, pretty quick, and then we kind of took the
foot off the gas.
Took the foot off the gas. Yeah, we kind of decided that we're good here, and we hung on. And I thought Victo is they're fun to watch. The Euros on Victo are very fun to watch, and they snap the puck around. The power play is deadly, and it was a good win in the sense that we got it. I don't know if we actually deserved it, but that's part of the game. There's games that we're going to go into and we don't deserve to win, and that was one that we maybe didn't, and we got the win. So it was good for us, and good to see Kilfoyle get his feet under him a little bit more. Obviously hasn't been the start he's wanted, and now he's out with injury for 7 days, which is tough. But he finds his game a little bit, and I think his game is going to be off of his work ethic and going to the net, and you see that he's got skill when he's there, and it was good to see him get a couple points.
Hey, you mentioned their goalie Gabriel Dagg. Kind of a funny career for him. I find he was like a top 5 pick in our league. He's drafted
2nd overall.
Yeah, which you don't see goalies that often anymore go that high. So, but then he kind of gets buried and doesn't get the playing time. He was behind Darvaux, who was the CHL goalie of the year at one point for Victo, and it might even be this year that is his first full year of being the guy there, and but drafted by the Penguins, but still kind of unproven in our league. He's drafted, I think, based on his pedigree, his height, so he's kind of had a funny go there for the Tigre so far, and I've seen him really good at times. I've seen him just okay at times, and I thought that was one of those just okay nights for him. And those 3 goals in a minute 32 really was the difference in the game. And
just okay, not great in the first, and then kind of had settled into his game after that. He had some big saves, later in the game, but he was last year he was on the back burner, but still 7 points, 7 assists. So not necessarily stopping the puck, but he was quarterbacking the power play for them for a bit with 7 assists. So very impressive.
Yeah, I thought you mentioned the power play and how lethal it was. They came into that game clicking at 38%, which was by far and away the best in the league.
Yeah.
That was one spot I thought the Herd did a good job, was staying disciplined, not taking too many penalties to put themselves in that position where they would need to defend against that lethal power play that features those Russians in Vlasov and Igor Shilov, who he looks incredible. Yeah. Maybe not his best game Wednesday, but look at some of those highlights so far this season. Those two that they got in the import draft are really good. And of course, Korniev, who they picked up at a trade from Chicoutimi, another great Euro. So they will be I think they'll come into their own here as the season progresses.
Yeah, and I think guys like that, you see the high level talent. It may not have been their best game, but you can see it. Like when they touch the puck, they make plays, their heads up. I don't know if there's a group that I've seen that's cut to the middle more and made plays through the middle. A lot of talent in our league now is driving wide, using the boards, and they, head up. They want to play in the middle. They want to make plays, and they're fun to watch. They're making plays that not many players can make, and that's why their power play is so successful. So for us to keep them away from it, that's obviously a big reason why we got the win. Yeah,
4-2 win there. And then Friday night, come back, Regiment in town for the first ever meeting, 3-0 shutout. Big night for Nick Circa.
Yeah. I mean, a kid who's, still trying to find himself. He's gotten thrown into a couple interesting situations in his young career, but to get the net against a team who I thought looked really, they're a good team. They got some older guys who kind of control the play, and some young guys who are going to be really good players in this league. But for Circa to kind of have that game of, I'm here, I'm a good goalie, I can control myself and I can win these big games. You see early in his career, he's getting starts against lower end teams. So to give him the reins on a Friday night, which normally, normally you kind of go the Wednesday and the Friday would be the starter, Bresson. And, so to give Circa that game, I thought it was huge for him and huge for the confidence of the whole team, because you see, all right, when this guy's in, he can play. Yeah,
and Newfoundland really came back with big second and third periods with putting a ton of shots on him, and he stood tall, kind of frustrated at them. You could see that they almost got down on themselves, thinking we're not going to get one tonight, when maybe they deserve to as well. Again, outplayed the Mooseheads for long spells at certain points. I wanted to bring up too got to give credit to Gareth McDonald on this one, saying Danny Walters basically scored that empty net goal from Carmichael Street. He was almost behind the goal line when he fired at the length of the ice to seal it. That was kind of a cool moment too.
Yeah, that's one that if you gave me 50 shots, I'd probably miss every single time. So it was good to see. I think Danny's been playing great. He's playing his big boy game, and he's kind of solidified himself as one of the mean, tough guys to play in the league. Tough guy in a different sense than maybe what it used to be, but he's playing big, he's playing strong down low, and he's a nightmare to play against. So I think he's kind of solidified himself in that role of, it's going to be tough to play against Danny Walters every night. So it's awesome to see him.
Yeah, we've seen him get that promotion to the second line center now. So fitting in nicely, a little bit of PP time. Yeah. So I think sky's the limit for Danny this season, and big game there. And then I feel like the 4-2 loss to Newfoundland the next night, it is difficult to beat the same team twice in a row, back-to-back nights. I also think the schedule, maybe a bit of the result of the schedule catching up with the Mooseheads in terms of their legs, a little tired in that one.
Yeah, still a young team, right? We're kind of expecting with the second year of the rebuild, to be better than we were last year. And you look, I mean, they have 420s rolling with them right now. So they actually scratched a different 20.
Pilgrim Edwards was out one.
Yeah, and then came in and had a great game. Seems to always, find a way against us. But to come into the lineup fresh is crazy, to have that extra 20. And you can just see bigger, older, faster. They kind of came at us in waves and didn't stop. And it was a tough night for us, but to have a team like that push that much and to come out as a 4-2 loss, it's not all bad.
Yeah, I think might have been lucky to be that close at times as well, because thinking in the third period down 3-2, like, well, still in this, and maybe didn't deserve to be at that point.
Yeah,
but overall though, 7 wins in 11 games. You said that in August that this team would be 7 for 11. You take it all day, every day, right?
Yeah. And I think the second game against Newfoundland, I think there was moments of almost like last year where we had, I think you said, can we give Bresson all 3 stars? And the worry with us coming in is, we're not sure about Circa, we're not sure about Bresson, and I think both of them have stepped up, immensely and had great starts to the season. Bresson, there's some scary moments. There's some he's not scared to play the puck, and I know fans are ready to kill him, but like he stops the puck, and that's his job. And I think against Newfoundland on the second game, he showed like I'm here.
He was dialed from the start.
He was unbelievable, and there's some fun moments for the fans. He does play the puck, but there's some fun moments. He's going after guys, and he's engaged, and he wants to be good. But yeah, is it surprising? Yes. Now seeing how well both these guys can play, because that was the scary part at the start of the year was, can the goaltending keep up to what it was last year? And it seems to be right on pace.
Yeah. I think we've discussed too how, going into the year, like, well, the D is set, D's solid. Yep. That is our strong point, but I kind of think maybe that's the part that's struggled a little bit so far.
Yeah, it's been interesting. Like you look at a guy like Handel, hasn't seemed to find his game yet. The only guy drafted on our team, and there's a sense it's almost like Kilfoyle. You come back and you think the game's going to be easier. We talked about it in the office with Travis about Quinn, Travis Kennedy, and he said, Quinn, you kind of talked to him about how the game doesn't get easier just because you're older.
Right.
And I think the game for Quinn, he's realizing that he's still a great player. He's got to find different ways on the defensive side of the puck, but just because you're a year older doesn't mean it's going to come easy. And I think our D-core kind of have a little bit of that in them, and Handel seems to, it's like, I'm drafted, I'm better than this league, I can do whatever I want.
Yeah.
And it's just, that's not how you had success. That's not how you got to be drafted. And, I think there's been ups and downs with Phillips. Owens had some great moments, I think, finding the consistency there. And then with the young guys, I think, I actually think Manila's been one of our most consistent defensemen. He makes,
he's like quietly consistent, isn't he?
It's great when you go into a game and you don't know if he's there or not, right? He makes smart, simple plays. He brings defenders in and moves pucks to good areas. And there's a lot to be desired with L'Italien. I think he's showing that he has a ton of skill.
Yeah, he can skate like the wind.
He goes 3 million miles up the ice. I think he has to understand to get back the ice, back down the ice a little bit. But it's tough because you see so much offensive flair from our D-core, and at some point you look at Eddie Doyle, he's found a role, and he's in the prospects game because he plays the right way. He plays simple. He moves the puck. He plays. He's hard to play against, and you got to find a role that helps the team win. And I think our D need to understand that a little bit better.
And Eddie is maybe more defensive minded, but if you said at the start of the year too that you look at every one of those defensemen, that he would be leading the D in scoring, you wouldn't have guessed that. No. But good for Eddie. He's having a good year. And speaking of the scoring depth, I think 18 different players have at least 1 point on the team, so it's really spread out. And I think that is going to be a strong point for Coach Brad McKenzie as well. Yeah,
it's like you look at some of these scores that we have, and just that was our biggest issue last year, right? We played such a defensive structure, and that was a Lordo thing, which is great. And I think Brad's kind of given them the reins a little bit to try to produce more offense, but to see it coming, not just the Carriers, not Quinn and Kilfoyle, but kind of spread out throughout the whole lineup. And to get Blake a couple goals and to get going a little bit, you need a guy like that to get going. You need a guy like Bent to get going a little bit. But it's all through the lineup. And our fourth line has had some great looks. Junior obviously getting the goal. McPherson's, coming into his own a little bit. Yep. And, Nazardine's a guy that got input into the,
I love to see him there.
And had some great chances, had a breakaway and had a couple 2-on-1s, and, you hope that he finds his first goal here soon, but a guy, he's getting looks and he's playing limited minutes, but still getting looks. So depth in scoring is massive.
Yeah. I had to go down to the dressing room after, had some media there to get interviews, and Naz was walking by the room. He's like, Scotty, I was so close. It's like twice. They were so close twice. I would love to see it. It'll happen.
There's nobody, I will say for Naz, there's nobody who wants him to score more than you. Every time he gets a chance, he's Scotty's texting us saying, tonight's the night. He's getting one. So, but he
deserves it.
Yeah, and he looked good. He like I said, he played limited minutes. But if you're getting guys like that on the fourth line that are playing a role that are still getting looks, the chances are going to turn into goals.
Yeah. So 7 wins, 11 games, kind of taking advantage of this long homestand. I think, winning the games that you're supposed to win, and maybe a couple that you weren't sure if they would win. And that'll wrap up this weekend. D&D Appreciation Night, which is always a fun night for us as well, on the business side, and for the fans. Team will wear those special jerseys this weekend. So that is against Cape Breton Saturday night at 7 as we salute the Canadian Forces. But after that, it's out on the road, and it gets a little tougher, doesn't it? You stop in Moncton, then you're on the road to Quebec for the first time this season, and that includes a visit to the mighty Blainville Boisbriand Armada.
Yeah, some good teams. Rouen, Val-d'Or, all doing well. We were lucky with strength of the schedule. Getting this many games at home is extremely uncommon, and to build up some momentum going into a road trip like this, Blainville's a beast. They've kind of made the league know you're in for a tough year against us because we're that good.
Yeah, it's a hot knife through butter right now.
It really is. And a couple teams up there still, Rouen's an interesting one. They lost Zahn and they lost some of their big guys, 2 of their best D, and they're still just as good as they were last year. So it's very impressive what's going on up there, but it doesn't get easy on the road. You play in these, rinks, you don't have 8,000 people cheering you on and being loud, and you can't feed off that. So finding wins on the road is huge. And it's going to be tough against some of these teams. Yeah,
and on the road a lot coming up. If fans aren't aware, I think there's 2 home games in November because the Canadian Olympic curling trials are moving into Scotiabank Center and kind of taking over. So that's why October was so busy at home, and why November we're out of there and on the road quite a bit. So it's going to get tough, and be nice to come out of there with 500 on the road would be beautiful.
Yeah, it's nice that we've had success at home, right? So you're already a close knit team with all the wins, because everything's better when you're winning. Yep. So you go on the road, ideally you bring it there, but again, we get some tough challenges.
Again, we get Ken Reid coming up here shortly from Sportsnet to talk about his new book and some other fun memories that he has from working down in this area early in his career, and he's from Pictou. But let's talk briefly prospects. Again, prospects game, we'll say last night. We're recording Tuesday, but it is the Tuesday night game. Top prospects, the first ever one to be held in the Q in Sherbrooke. A handful of Mooseheads players there. We got Danny Walters, Oleg Kulibiakin, Eddie Doyle, and Will Bent. So it's pretty cool for them. And those guys, along with Nick Circa and Kalen Blake, named to the NHL Central Scouting preliminary players to watch list this year. So those are players that they're keeping tabs on for the upcoming NHL entry draft. Bent, Doyle, Circa, they all get C ratings as potential 4th or 5th round picks. Kulibiak and Walters, Blake get W ratings, whatever that means, for potential 6th or 7th round picks. And you and I kind of have a bone to pick with that, because I think we both agree that Walters should be higher.
Yeah. Listen, this is amazing. There's so many times you get in the nitty gritty of things and you think that it
doesn't matter in the end, right?
Doesn't matter in the end. And I think for these guys, like, you think they're 17 years old. They're still babies. There's still a lot of growth here. And it's a whirlwind. You come in, your first year, you're playing all this, you're playing every game of the season for basically all these guys that you just mentioned. And then now you're in your second year, you're looking for a step, and then these ratings come out, right? It's
got to play a bit with the head.
A lot going on, right? Yeah. And so it's exciting for all of them. Yeah. It's really cool to be part of, even just mentioned in any of these. But I think, of these guys, the biggest step somebody has taken over the offseason would be Danny.
Yeah.
And I think you look at pro potential. I think there's lots of pro potential within these guys.
All of them, yeah.
Bent is a big body. He can score goals with the best of them. I think Blake has high-end skill. Kulibiak, I think we're just scratching the surface on what he's going to be.
He's going to break out here.
And Circa, like we saw, he's got to
get the reps.
A lot of skill. Yeah, he just got to get in the games. But I think Danny's a guy, if you look at, potential down the road and who can scratch that, a lineup in the NHL. And
bottom 6 guy in the NHL.
Right. There's a role for those guys to go out and play big and play hard and be tough to play against. And I think Danny has taken the biggest step from, his 16 year into his 17 year. So
yeah. And shout out to Eddie Doyle for getting into that.
Oh,
like
it's
the
awesome.
way he has jumped up and suddenly seems like everybody's talking about him right now, which he kind of blended into the background before. Really, really happy and proud for him.
Yeah. And just a great kid.
Yeah.
One of those guys that, everyone wants to be around. And I love Alex Mitchell, who does our moose tracks. He seems to love him because he's in all the moose tracks and he's got so much footage of Eddie being a goof, which is like awesome.
I think we got a
personality,
full Eddie Doyle reel coming later in the year, maybe after he compiles some more things. But
but it's awesome to see. He's a great player, and he's playing a game that nobody really wants to play. Right? He's playing the defensive side and hard to play against, and winning net front battles and winning corner battles and being first and blocking shots. And it's a hard game to play. Nobody wants to go in. Everyone wants to go in and score all the goals, but to go in and have somebody take a slap shot at your shins, and it's a tough game. So good on him.
Yeah. So congrats to all those guys on the NHL Central Scouting list. I've got, again, D&D Appreciation Night coming up Saturday against Cape Breton, 7:00. Going to be a fun game. Hope to see everybody there. But for now, let's throw it over to our chat with Ken Reid from Sportsnet. All right, if you're a sports fan that has watched highlights of any sort over the past 20 plus years on Canadian television, you know this man well. He's a proud native of Pictou, Nova Scotia, one-time Eastlink host, a huge fan of Carlisle Lewis Mooseheads fights, and best-selling author with a brand new book out now. We're proud to be joined today by Sportsnet's own Ken Reid. Ken, thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Scotty. Yeah, I love me some Carlisle Lewis tilts. Love me some Jody, Shelley, some Joel Theriault. Those early Mooseheads games, man, they were nasty. They were beauties. I used to have two guys sat behind me from the South Shore. They loved the tilts. So did I. I'll be honest.
Yeah, it made that evident over the years. I think we've noticed a few comments on Sportsnet time to time. Before we get into all that, I know you're running on fumes. We're running on fumes. We got to talk Blue Jays just for a second. What was it like being in the city of Toronto for that win last night?
Wild. I was stuck in my little windowless studio, so Ivanka and I went rather crazy. There was a lot of screaming in there. The newsroom went wild. I was already downtown today, and everybody's decked out in Blue Jays colors. And it's nice in Toronto to run into somebody, and the first thing you don't talk about is the traffic. Okay? It's nice for people to go, wow, how about those Blue Jays? And yeah, it's electric. To me, totally unexpected. I'm the guy that had them at maybe 80 wins. Yeah. Couldn't be more wrong. So if you're going to ask me for a prediction, probably you shouldn't, because I have no idea. But I think that's one of the things that makes this run so magical, is it just all came together. I love the way they play. They play old school baseball. I mean, right before Springer homers, Jimenez moves the guys over with a bunt, right? And Springer's just looking to drive a ball to the outfield, maybe get in the guy from third, make it a 3-2 game. Instead, he hits a bomb that we're going to remember forever. That was just epic stuff from a guy on one good knee with a wonky wrist and 36 years old.
No, it's awesome. I think the 80 win prediction's fair after, how long it's been over our lifetimes. We've had a lot of agony over the years with the Toronto Blue Jays. So, no, it was pretty awesome. We asked you off here, but you got to tell the fans, what time do you get out of there at night and get home in your bed after a long night like that?
Yeah, so last night I got out of the studio at 1:45. We were on air live till 1:30. And like we also said, 8:00 Eastern starts, 9:00 Atlantic, way too late. Start the games. Yeah. Okay, Fox, I get that you own the world. But start the games at 7. So if it's 10:30, the kids can stay up a little late. I called my wife last night, woke our kids up. They're 12 and 10, so they could watch the end. If Daddy was home, they would have stayed up the whole night. But hey, we have different parental standards. But yeah, it was a late night, but there's no shortage of energy. And to be honest, when I get home, it takes me a while to wind down and go to bed. So yeah, late night, but that's no problem. This is what we sign up for.
Well, we appreciate you taking the time to join us this morning.
Why, yeah.
Appreciate the invite.
You got the passion for hockey. You grew up, hockey fan in the hockey world, but could you ever imagine seeing a celebration like that with the team going to the NHL finals with the champagne and the, popping bottles after, just to go to the World Series?
Oh, You mean how they just give her?
Yeah.
Yeah.
After
At
every
every
round,
step.
it's like,
Yeah,
we're going 300 miles an
Yeah,
hour.
what's your take on that?
Okay, my take is I get it and I don't get it.
Yeah.
It's such a non-hockey thing.
Yeah.
In hockey, it's like we're not even touching the Wales Conference Trophy. We're not touching the Campbell Conference Trophy. On to the next. I guess in baseball, they say they do it because you got to cherish the moments, and it's such a grind. 162 games. You're starting in February at spring training, so I get their perspective too. It's hard to win. Maybe in hockey, I wouldn't mind guys whooping it up a little more, but I get it. I get it that you're not there yet. And like I said to Ivanka last night, like maybe it's the hockey in me, and I said they still haven't won anything,
Yeah.
and which is not really true because they are American League champions.
Mhm.
And the older I get, the more I'm kind of cool with it. You think it would be the opposite because I've been accused of being an angry old man yelling at clouds, but enjoy the moment. Even in hockey now, you should probably enjoy the moment. There's 32 teams in hockey. That means 31 of them aren't going to win the cup. So you might as well enjoy the little things along the way. But you can't tell me, and a buddy of mine texted me this right away, you can't tell me that hallway with the strobe lights going and the smoke didn't look like J-Rock's illegal club in Sunnyvale. I was waiting for Corey and Trevor to come out and start dancing.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it looked, it was a good party. So to each their own, and it looked like they're having a lot of fun. So who am I to judge?
Yeah.
We're going to get every round of playoffs the Mooseheads win. We'll do the same thing. We'll get a whole parade planned and everything. So we'll jump on board here.
Yeah, I got to be honest
Why
too.
not?
I thought,
Oh yeah, a different borough every time, like Sackville, Lower
Sac
Sackville,
Vegas.
Sac
Bedford,
Vegas.
Sac Vegas, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, party all night in Sac Vegas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Downtown
So,
East Hants.
Yeah. I did have a sickening feeling before the game though at seeing Vladdy wear the Austin Matthews jersey in a game 7. I was a little worried.
Yeah. And with the assistant captain on.
That either tells me he has no knowledge of hockey history or he just doesn't care.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's been in Toronto for a few years, so he knows.
Yeah.
So good on him.
Yeah.
And it's so funny that it has to have a Leafs angle too, right? That's a good omen for Leafs fans, I guess.
Exactly.
But I don't know what it'll take for them. I don't know. Maybe start with protecting your crease in Game 6. Snap a guy in the head if he runs over your goalie. Maybe establish some team chemistry. That's a thought.
Hey, we got a diehard Jays fan and a diehard Leafs fan, so we could talk about this for hours and hours.
Oh my God, who's the Leafs fan?
Oh, Bradley.
Yeah, unfortunately here.
You, Brad?
Yeah,
Okay,
you know what? I said this. I got to fly up for Game 7, and whoever it was put out, the Leafs fans love to hate the Leafs more than they love to love the Leafs, and it was a perfect quote for Game 7 because it was like 9 minutes in, 0 shots, and the whole city was ready to burn. So it's a crazy atmosphere there.
Look, my greatest failure as a father is if I have 2 sons and they're Leafs fans.
Yeah, it's tough.
They grow up here in Toronto, and I'm like, guys, there's 31 other teams. Like,
please
latch onto the Seattle Kraken for all I care.
Yeah. No,
Don't put yourself through this.
My dad is diehard Leafs as well and grew up in the Leafs household in the 80s, but he was like, you can pick your own team. And I think at the age of 5, I was like, I like the red one. And I stuck with the Calgary Flames after that.
Good for you.
Yeah.
You had fun. You've had a couple trips to the Cup. I grew up a massive Montreal Canadiens fan, so I had my moments in 86 and 93. Now I like to refer to myself as a fan of the game because,
kind of happens when you're in your position, right?
Yeah, it does. Exactly. The Jays, it's easy to root for the Jays. They're the only team in Canada. But yeah, when you're in my position and I've worked in I've worked in Ottawa, Calgary, Edmonton, and Toronto. So I've covered 4 NHL teams. So, each of them means something to you. So yeah, when you get deep into it, you kind of lose that fandom for sure.
Yeah. Start cheering for individuals more than teams, I find, like over the years as you get older. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sure you guys have met a lot of great kids along the way who've gone on to success in the NHL, and then you definitely root for them for sure. That definitely happens. You root for moments, you root for the players, you root for a good story, and I think you root for the individual for sure.
Yeah. Well, hey, speaking of all those places you worked in, why don't you walk us through your career a bit, like getting started in our neck of the woods back here?
Yeah, my first gig was I started volunteering out of college. I started volunteering at Access Cable, which was on Victoria Road in Dartmouth. The building's still there. And I started volunteering for Jim Bottomley's team. They were in Dartmouth then. They were called the Dartmouth Olin Exports, and I did their games Tuesday night at the Sportsplex, and then they would air, I think, on Saturday nights or
Nice.
Saturday nights, I think, before Hockey Night in Canada, kind of. That was our window. And did that for 2 years and 2 months. And at the same time, when the Mooseheads would go to the playoffs, Brett Smith said, "Would you like to do Mooseheads games, host?" And I'm like, "Oh my God, yeah, this is the big time, right? The Metro Center." And I remember my first game I did there, I was used to coming on Access Cable and going, "Hey, everybody, welcome to the Dartmouth Sportsplex. Ken Reid along, here for the game." And I was nervous then on TV doing a Mooseheads game. It's funny, people ask me if I'm nervous now, and honest to God, the answer is no, I'm not. But then I was, and I would do my opening, and Brett said, "Hey, good job." I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Metro Center, right? That's where you're at?" I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "You said you were at the Dartmouth Sportsplex." I'm like, "What?" So you just go on autopilot, right? I'm calling the Metro Center the Dartmouth Sportsplex. I'm used to saying that all year. But I remember a couple playoff games. I remember one playoff game, Joey McDonald from Pictou was in nets. I think they were playing Rimouski, and it was like 10-9. But it was one of those wild games. There was just a ton of shots. And like you said, guys, you cheer for people. So I was obviously cheering for Joey. The Mooseheads won. Interviewed Joey at the end, I think. And I remember interviewing Alex Tanguay, stuff like that. And yeah, cutting my teeth with the Mooseheads, being on those broadcasts was a blast. And every once in a while, I do the color commentary with Brad McCon. I do like the in-house broadcast. I think it went to an audience of 4 people, but that was fun. But yeah, doing the playoff games on Halifax Cable, which became Eastlink, there was a lot of people watching, and you'd get comments and stuff. So that was great. So I did that for 2 years and 2 months. I was making $8.24 an hour at Access Cable.
Big bucks.
Yep. And I'm like, a kid's got to eat.
Yeah.
So I tried so hard to get in at Global and ATV and CBC, and I couldn't get in. And my mom was living in Calgary, so there was a station in Calgary called A Channel. So I moved out, and Doug Vason, I don't know if you guys remember Doug. Sportsline. Doug was working at A Channel. He helped me out. Kurt Studley, who used to work at ATV and ASN, he helped me out big time as well. And my buddy Glenn McGinnis from Glace Bay. Glenn.
Probably a great man.
He's a beauty.
Yeah.
He's awesome. He still works at CPAC. Actually, he just stopped working at CPAC a few months ago. But he was a booker for BT, so they helped me out, and I got a job as a writer for breakfast television in Calgary, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m. for a whopping $10 an hour. So that was my big break. So I thought, okay, I'm going to be a writer, so I'll be the best writer I can be. I get bumped up to full-time writer, and at that point, I'm like, I'm living, so I buy a 99 Pontiac Sunfire, because the kid's got to live, right? And worked my way from there to videographer to sports anchor, so I'm covering the Calgary Flames. From Calgary, I go to Ottawa, where I'm anchored sports. Ottawa, I go to Edmonton. I'm at Edmonton for 3 years. From Edmonton, I moved to Calgary. I started working at CP24, field producing for TSN. Then I worked for the NHL Network, and I'm just a jack of all trades for TSN, anchor and fill-in anchor and reporter. And from there, I get to Sportsnet, and I've been at Sportsnet for 14 years. So lots of hopping around, guys.
Wow.
I'm like the John Sim and Mike Sillinger.
I have
sports
a lot of jerseys.
Played everywhere.
A lot of jerseys.
Yeah.
Most important question.
And I can say that because I know them both, so I can chirp them.
What color was the 99 Sunfire? I'm guessing it was red or bright yellow.
It's worse, boys. Okay, full on. You know what color it was? I'm looking over, and you guys can see this. Look at the border on this Dominic Hasek rookie card. See that light blue? I like to call it cougar blue. It was a total cougar card in 1999.
Nice.
That's what color the 99 Pontiac Sunfire was. Yeah,
and you still have it, right?
It's in the Smithsonian.
Yeah.
So, I'm sure that's been converted back into trash metal somewhere. Yeah. So I moved from the Sunfire to a Jeep Liberty to So yeah.
Now
I worked around.
Now you're actually driving something that gets you around.
Yeah, the TTC pass here in Toronto is amazing.
There you go. Yeah. You talked about just your first time, how nervous you were and how you're not anymore. Was saying the Dartmouth Sportsplex, does that kind of like calm you down? Like, I didn't even realize I screwed up, and here I am. We're still good. I can kind of do it. No.
Okay. I was like, so I said it because I was on autopilot, and then when he told me, I said it just like, hitting your stomach. Like I've screwed up the whole world, and I corrected myself the next time. Now I still make mistakes, but now when I make a mistake, I realize, okay, Craig Button gave me the best advice ever. We were on the NHL network together. We were doing NHL on the fly, and I made a mistake, and I was like, "Grr." He goes, "Did you make a mistake?" I said, "Yes." He said, "Did you mean to?" "No." "Well, then move on." I thought, that's a really good way of looking at
Yeah.
stuff. So now, if you make a mistake, you guys know, you just acknowledge it and you go on. We
Yeah.
all make mistakes. If there was no mistakes in the world, every hockey game would end 0-0. And how boring would that be?
That would be tough. Yep.
Well,
Yeah,
I
but
volunteered a
that
bit.
night there was, pit in the stomach, but on we go.
I was going to say I volunteered a bit while I was attending broadcasting school with Alex J. Walling's school, and Brett Smith was there then, and he was kind of intimidating in those days, so it was kind of scary to make those mistakes.
Yeah, and rip Alex J. Rest in peace. He was
Yeah.
another character who was around, obviously, during my Channel 10 days. And Kenny, you just got to stick with it. Persistence is going to pay off. And Alex J. was absolutely right.
Yep.
One day I said his name on Tim and Sid, and he called me, and we had the best chat.
Awesome.
It was awesome. It was really cool to talk with Alex J. So, he's had an influence on a lot of young broadcasters in Atlantic Canada.
Yeah, Dan Robertson, you must know Danny.
Oh yeah, Dan's the king of Pictou County now. Like, he's got the Trenton side, I got the Pictou side. It was really cool to go to the Bell Center once for Hockey Night in Canada, and Dan's sitting there. So we caught up, and we'd never met each other in person for a long time. I think first time we met was at the Bell Center, and super proud of Dan. I mean, that's the dream job. That was my dream job, as play-by-play. And he got to be to go from the Mooseheads to the Montreal Canadiens. That shows you the quality of a broadcast you guys have. Like, think about that.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like, it's crazy, but it also shows you guys are doing a really good job down there. And so, super proud of Dan, and now in Winnipeg. And I love Dan's play-by-play because he has that Bob Cole, Danny Gallivan, brings you into the arena, announcing presence. He doesn't overwhelm you with stats. He makes you part of the game. So I love that about Dan's broadcast. Other than he's from Trenton, he's a fine guy.
I know you said we're doing a great job. If you could call Brian Urquhart and tell him that personally, that would be great for Scotty and I.
Yeah, monetarily.
Okay, I know Brian. I've met Brian before. Yeah, I can do that for you. I saw Brian at the Galvan this summer, so no problem.
He said you guys golfed together, and how bad is his slice?
It wasn't bad. He had it in controlled fade mode.
Okay.
But the bottom line is we blew it. We had a good team, and we just couldn't make putts. We should have won. And, I freaked out at dinner because we didn't win through a few things. But Erky was a blast to have out there. He can smoke it, buddy. He can smoke it.
Oh, God. Normally in the woods, but he can smoke it.
Oh, when he straightens her out, it's beauty. So, Erky was a ton of fun to play with. We had a blast at that tournament. That tournament's always a good time. And to I get to MC it every year. And to MC a tournament that's called the Galaban, for me, like when I grew up, I'm sure you guys might have been the same. The play-by-play guys were as big of heroes to me as the players.
Right.
So I hold, Dick Irvin, Danny Gallivan, Bob Cole. Those are my big three, and that's like the top of the mountain for me. So to get to MC a tournament that's named in Danny's honor, to get to know Bob when he played in it, that was amazing to me. Those are like, holy smokes! Like, and then when Bob Cole knows your name, like, what? And you get to do, you meet, I love Don Cherry. I got to, I guess work for the same company as Don, and Don knows your name, and Ron knows your name. Those are the moments you gotta pinch yourself, because I'm thinking, okay, I started at Channel 10 in Dartmouth, and for a while when I was at Sportsnet, it was still, I was like, I didn't consider myself equal or worthy to be in that kind of company, But then you got to check yourself and go, okay, I'm here for a reason. I'm sure it's the same when a lot of kids show up at Mooseheads camp. Maybe they're a third-round pick or something, but they're there for a reason. So just whether you're a broadcaster, whether you're an accountant, a teacher, or a hockey player, just keep doing what got you there, because that's why you're there in the first place, because somebody believes in you.
Yeah, I was going to ask, you've got a great blend of, comedic humor along with delivering the sports news and the highlights. How did you kind of hone those skills, and was that something you always did all the way along?
I guess people have always told me I'm either funny or annoying. It depends how you take it, I guess. So some people call me, oh, here, I'll just read you this nice thing I got on Instagram before we came on.
Oh, beautiful. Gotta ignore those, Ken.
Oh, I know, but I like them. They're funny. Where is it? Oh, is this it? Change your smug attitude. I don't like your smug attitude. That's one of the nicer ones. So what you learn after years in broadcasting is not everyone's going to like you. So I've always said, love me or hate me, just don't like me, because at least then you're talking. But to a certain extent, you don't want to be hated. Nobody wants to be hated.
Mm-hmm.
But I guess you learn doing highlights through repetition. It's like anything. The more you do it, the better you get at it. With humor, I think that's just who I am, right? I like making jokes. The only difference between me off air and me on air is I don't swear on air. But like none of this stuff I don't rehearse it. It just comes off the top of my head. I do a lot of MC work, and I don't go through a script. It just comes off the top of my head. So sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. You just have to believe in yourself. And, like there's things Ivanka and I will come up with, and we just come up with it on the spot. And some people enjoy it. Some people probably don't notice. And some people probably think I'm a giant knob. But so be it. That's kind of real life too, right?
Well, yeah, that's how it goes. But
Yeah.
You guys must just be so comfortable sitting next to each other now and read each other's thoughts, right?
Pretty much. We can look at each other, and she'll know when to go, and I'll know when to go. And we always just look at each other 10 seconds coming out of a break, and we're like, you start or I start. And then we just go. Yeah. And I think what we do best is if we make a mistake, the other person calls the other person out on it. So we don't try to hide it.
Just go for it.
That was your 7th home run. 6th. Now, sometimes you'll get sometimes you might get a little annoyed when somebody corrects you on the air, but I don't get annoyed when Ivanka corrects me on the air because I'd rather be corrected.
Yeah.
But yeah, we know what each other's thinking, and I give her a ton of credit because, again, a lot of people find me annoying. I'm sure she finds me super annoying some nights. She'll tell me when she does, and if I go too far, she'll let me know, and I'll be like, hey, I wasn't trying to upset you. It's just, I'm just trying to have fun.
Yeah.
And same with my wife, same deal. But yeah, we can read each other's thoughts for sure.
Yeah.
And we know what works, and we push each other's buttons, and we laugh together. And last night for her, like, it was emotional for Ivanka. She's a long-time Jays fan her whole life. I was an Expos fan as a kid. I hated the Jays. I wouldn't sing OK Blue Jays in music class because I was an Expos. That's true.
Failed music because of that?
I didn't fail it, but I wouldn't sing the song. It was Mrs. Burns' class, probably around 85. Wow. I still don't like that OK Blue Jays song.
Yeah.
It's just, I know if I saw last night on our broadcast, there's some dude rapping it, trying to update it.
Well, my son said, hey, that's a cool version, because I played the old crappy version.
Yeah. Right. So at least they're moving on. Now, if somebody tries to rap Battle on the Boards and the puck comes loose, I'm going to have issues. That's a song I love.
That's on Brad's next album.
That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
J-Rock could do it, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. You guys should get J-Rock to do the Battle on the Board song. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. We can try that.
Yeah. But Ivanka and I, yes. Awesome chemistry. It's not fake. What you see is what you get. We joke around at work. We joke around on air. We like to think that, like, when we do the highlights, we don't rehearse them. We're seeing them the same time as you see them on air. So we like our shtick is kind of, I don't know if it's shtick, but we just want to watch the sports like somebody at home does. The only difference is we don't have a beer in front of us.
Right.
We drink hard liquor. We drink hard liquor, keep it under the desk. So that's a joke. But
don't fire me. It's a joke.
Disclaimer. Yeah, we're not like Big Papi. We're not rich enough like David Ortiz where we can just bust it out on the air.
Yeah.
But yeah, we just react and have fun. We're not going to overwhelm you with numbers because, as my wife says, people don't remember numbers. People remember stories. So we just try to tell good stories.
Good.
Well, you got lots of stories in this brand new book that is out now. The next one, Hockey Scouts, Remote Rinks and Hidden Talent. Why don't you tell us about this book?
Again, it's a book about hockey scouts, and it's not a book about how to scout players. It's about hockey scouts, the stories they have, the lives they've led, because you guys both know you hang around enough rinks, you're going to meet scouts, and scouts have been everywhere. And that means they have stories. And this is a blast. And the Mooseheads connection is Paul Henry. When I set out to write this book, I talked to Cammy Russell and I said, how do you guys get these? Actually, I'd asked him a few years earlier, how do you guys keep getting these dudes out of Europe? Because you guys have the best Euros year in and year out, no matter where you are in the import draft. And he said, Paul Henry. And so he starts telling me about Paul Henry. So when I went to write this book, I called Cam up and I said, what was the name of that scout you told me? Paul Henry. So we started talking and so I interview him about Paul on the record. And then I said to Cam at the end, I said, can I have Paul's number? He says, I'll give you the number, but you don't want to call Paul. You want to meet Paul.
Yeah.
You want to meet Paul Henry. So I said, okay. So I was going to call him and set up a meeting, but a week or so later, I go to this alumni luncheon, this NHL alumni luncheon they have in Toronto. It's once a month. Some alumni come up, they invite some hockey people, and you sit around, there's guest speakers. So I walk in, and this guy comes up to me. He goes, I got a bone to pick with you about George Palawa. And I thought, okay. Why? He goes, you didn't do him justice in your last book. And I thought to myself, I thought I did a pretty good story on George. George Palawa was a kid at the Bemidji High School in Minnesota who was a big raw kid who was drafted straight out of high school, I want to say 16th or 18th overall by the Calgary Flames in the 1986 draft. He was a late bloomer, never scored a goal as a freshman, was Mr. Hockey Minnesota by the end of his senior year. The Flames drafted him. 2 months later, he died in a car crash right before he was supposed to start his freshman season at the University of North Dakota. So this guy's like, George Palawa, I know you tried, but man, let me tell you, I saw George Palawa, and George Palawa is a man against men. I saw him play a game for Team Minnesota against Team Massachusetts, and this guy is just rattling off all these amazing facts about George Palawa. The guy turns out to be Paul Henry. And I'm like, this guy is awesome.
Yeah.
I see what Cam meant. And Paul oozes kindness and knowledge. And he makes you feel kind and he makes you feel knowledgeable. So that day after the luncheon, Paul and I sat there at the Scotiabank Pond in Toronto. And I got my recorder out because I always carry it. You never know.
Yep.
Plus, they're on your phone now, too. But this was the old school one. And we sat and talked for 3 or 4 hours, and he told me all about his story. Now, we got into how he found out about Nico Hischier and Timo Meier. And actually, I think in the book, I said one was a skier when the other one was a skier. But hey, mistakes happen.
Yeah.
But, and Paul corrected me on that, by the way. and his story is amazing. So I'm like, okay, here's this amazing hockey scout that everybody in the scouting world knows, right? Like, Paul is, and in the book, I call him the Dos Equis man of scouts because he literally is the most interesting scout in the world.
Yeah.
And he starts telling me his story. So, you start with your usual questions. So how'd you end up as a scout? Now, I didn't think that his story would begin. He's like, that story, and Cam had told me this. That story, 38 years old, the tragically hip. Yeah, 12 men broke loose in 73. He goes, it was 15, and one came back because of the flies, so 14 escaped. So I'm like, what? He goes, yeah, I was the psychologist there. So,
yeah.
Incredible.
He worked at Kingston Penn, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Worked at Penn and played hockey with the guys in the Penn, maintained lifelong relationships with the guys from the Penn, worked at a halfway house, and as a psychologist, one day he's just called by somebody from the New York Rangers to talk to a player, and from that point on, he just rolls with the Rangers, and he becomes this legend in the scouting world. All the scouts know him. He puts together our Olympic team in '94. He works with Phoenix. He works with the Rangers. He works with you guys. But the great part about Paul is he just doesn't look at the X's and O's on the ice. He wants to know who the player is, who his family is, where he comes from, what drives him. That's the psychologist in him, I guess. And he had all these incredible stories. And the stories are in the book, and all the scouts in the book. This is not, how do I find Connor McDavid? Because the three of us could find Connor McDavid, right? We could have went to an Erie Otters game or a Toronto Marlies game and go, okay, look at that guy. He's awesome. But how do you find an Antoine Roussel who goes on to play over 600 games in the NHL when he's not even drafted to the Quebec League? So how do you find Antoine Roussel? And what goes into finding that? And what is Antoine's story? Well, it turns out he was healthy scratch all the time in the American League. He's calling up coaches after his first year pro, begging for a tryout in any league. And because some scout sees something in him, he goes on to a great NHL career. So how do you quantify the intangible that these scouts see, and who are they and where do they come from? And that was the real joy about doing this book, was finding out who these guys and girls are. And they love the game because they're not overly compensated for their work. They're compensated, but it's not like they're multimillionaires, but they're scouting some multimillionaires. So it came together really well. I'm quite proud of it.
Going through the process, you see like the scouting world now and how much is relied on analytics now, and going through the process of, chatting and sitting down with these scouts, does it kind of take you like they're so valuable beyond numbers, beyond this and that, like what the work that they do and how deep they go into these players, it's so much more valuable than any computer can kind of knock out.
Thank you. I don't know if you guys watch or the air much, but I am not an analytics fan. Never have been. I'm sure they have a purpose, but yes, this reaffirmed to me the value of a set of eyes in the stands and the value of listening. One of the scouts in the book is named Brad Davis. He scouted for the Edmonton Oilers for years.
Is
Former
Brad
ref
with
Dub.
Kamloops?
He was with the Edmonton Oilers for a long time.
Okay.
And his dad was Lorne Davis, who was a legendary scout with the Oilers. And he and his dad got in this big argument about a player once. And the guys on the Oilers said the best fights are Davis against Davis, right? The scouts yelling about which player they want. And he's screaming at his dad, and his dad's screaming at him. And all of a sudden he screams something at his dad, and his dad says, "Brad, you're right." And he thought it was, what? Like he was just out to win the argument, where his dad was listening. The value of listening with your ears and eyes from these scouts is something that you can't quantify with analytics. Now, of course, analytics are in the world, and some of them use analytics, but again, analytics doesn't make for a good story. It made for a great movie in Moneyball. But spoiler, Oakland didn't win. Okay? So is there a place for analytics? Of course there is. I have a buddy, he's an OHL guy. He's an analytics guy. He worked in pro hockey last year. He's excited to come to my book launch because he wants to meet a lot of these scouts, and some of them will be there. I know Paul's going to be there.
Nice.
But yeah, the human element, you can never remove it from the game. And I get when people like analytics, but I look at analytics as it's kind of a way for the geeks to sneak into the high school party. They figure out how to get into these organizations and stuff. And I'm sure there's value in it, but for me, you can't replace watching a guy. And the one thing I did learn from this book is don't fall in love too early with a player. Every scout admits that they do. You got to see a guy 6 times. And the one thing that you'll learn talking to a guy like Paul Henry and all the scouts in the book is they work hard. So that's maybe that's why they value hard work in a player, is because they're working just as hard. They watch a lot of hockey. But analytics, I'm sure there's a time and place for it. There's obviously been great books written about analytics. Look at Moneyball by Michael Lewis. Fantastic book, amazing movie. But I wanted the story about the human side of it, right? And these are some humans with some incredible stories.
How long does it take to put together a book like this? How many scouts do you have to talk to? What's the whole process like?
Well, the whole process from this book wasn't my idea. It was the idea of Kevin Hansen, who was the then head of Simon & Schuster in Canada. And he said, scouts must have a fantastic story. So about 2 years ago, he gave me this idea. So you write it. And I'll tell you exactly. I talked to 15 scouts. The writing process takes about a year.
Yeah.
So you can do it in a shorter amount of time, but you get a year to write it and then a year to edit it and publicize it. And that leads you to publishing. So the whole thing, about a year to put together. And then by the time you get it to the publisher and it comes out, that's about another year. So it's about a 2-year process.
Now, how do you find, you're on TV every night. When do you find time to do it?
Okay, that's the question. I was asked that earlier today. So you make time. And people always think of writing as this beautiful artistic thing, and you've got your your sweater vest on, you're sitting under the trees and you're writing, and you've got your $7 mochaccino frappuccino from Starbucks that is of course served not only on time but also with attitude. But in reality, it's work. I read a great quote from a writer. It's like, when do you get inspired? He said 10 a.m. every day. So I read a great book called Not the Art of War, but The War of Art. And that's the message. Just work.
Yeah.
And I write when the kids are at school. So I work nights. Can't afford a golf membership in Toronto, so I might as well do something with my day. So from about 10 to 3, you'll find me writing on a lot of days. I'm working on a new project right now. And I'm usually when I'm not doing podcasts and stuff, I'm usually writing from about 11 o'clock till 3 o'clock every day. And then I try to be a good dad when the kids come home, and when off to work I go.
Yeah. How many books has it been now? 5?
This is 8.
Oh, wow. I was way off.
Yeah. Yeah. So some would say, oh, it's his 8th book. What a prolific writer. I'd say, yeah, I write books with my 8th.
Yeah.
So, it's all how you frame things, guys. You should
That's
see
right.
outside the frame of this God. This room's a mess. But it looks
well, it looks great behind you.
Yeah.
You talked about Cam a little bit, Cam Russell. Any good stories about Cam? Because he's one of the best storytellers there is. But do you have any
Cam's a
about
beauty.
him?
Well, the first time I ever saw him was on his 1990 score rookie card. And I'm like, look at the mustache on this dude.
Yeah.
And I turn it over. He's from Cole Harbour. I'm like, this is awesome. So, of course, I followed Cam's career the whole time. And Cam is a humble guy. He's a great guy. To this day, I call him Slim because he's so slim. Like, he's 185, 190. And he says, yeah, this is the weight I played at. I'm like, dude, you went up against some big boppers when you played.
Yeah.
And he's not like a 240 pounder. But my favorite Cam story is we're at the Gallivan, and I'm telling him about this book idea called Hockey Card Stories. And I said, I got to talk to you about your 1990 score rookie card. It's my favorite. Like, that's my favorite Cam Russell card, the mustache. He's like, no. We got to talk about this card in the book. Pulls out his phone and shows me a card of him where he's with the Indianapolis Ice. It's a pro cards. He's got 2 black eyes, and his nose is packed because he broke his nose the night before in Chicago. I think he said it was in a fight, and the next day it was hockey card picture day. So he gets sent down to Indianapolis. He's like, this is going to be the best hockey card ever. So he looks, he's just beating the pulp, and he's doing the cross-check into the hockey card. Google it, boys. It's one of the most amazing hockey cards ever. That's my favorite Cam Russell story.
Oh, I know the card well.
Yeah, he's just a super kind guy. He's at the Gallivan every year. Giving back, and he's just a guy you can sit and talk hockey with. And if it wasn't for Cam, I wouldn't have had this beautiful Paul Henry story. He and Allie told me so much about Paul, Allie McDonald.
Yeah.
Go Anna Ganesh. Anna Ganesh and Picta were kind of cool now. But yeah, they helped me out so much. So Cam's in the book talking about Paul. So thank you, Cam Russell. And I'm so happy that I could have a Mooseheads connection in this book. Because, boys, when I lived in Halifax, I was the biggest Mooseheads fan. Now, here's a deep, deep cut on Mooseheads history for you guys.
All right.
You guys might be a little too young to remember this, but the Mooseheads start in the mid-'90s. 96, 97, 97, 98 is kind of when I'm hanging around. They used to have this promotion when the casino opened at the Sheraton, and you'd go out on the ice between periods, and they'd blindfold you, and you'd have to run around the ice to try to find this big circular cash thing. And if you found it, you win money. I think it was called Cash in the Bag. My mom was the Cash in the Bag lady. Now, mom's a bit of a looker. She's a blonde lady. She's a good-looking lady. She's former Miss Swimsuit Nova Scotia, 1970. Just putting that out there.
Go, Mom.
And she's like, Kenny. And so Mom would get the Sheraton tickets, and if she couldn't find somebody, I'd get a ticket, right? Down in those nice orange seats. Mom loved Jody Shelley. She's like, oh, Jody looked over me between periods and gave me a smile. So Mom was the Cash in the Bag lady. I remember one time a guy got blindfolded. He just took off running and went right into the plexiglass. It was awesome. I don't even know if they wore helmets back then, right?
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, Mom was the Sheraton Cash in the Bag lady. So I know there's some old school Mooseheads fans out there that will remember Mom. being out on the ice. So there you go. There's a Reid family connection to the Mooseheads. And my brother played midget with Harlan Hayes. So when Harlan was when Harlan played with the Mooseheads, he billeted our house. So there you go.
Nice.
Yeah. We still do cash in the bag. So
Yeah, we're
You
really
still really yeah.
That cash in
we're
the
really
bag is the
innovative
best.
here.
Yeah, we're groundbreaking in that world.
Yeah, you still do Alfredo Weinstein and Ho?
I don't think we can do that anymore. No.
No, I don't think you can do that one anymore.
No.
But cash in the bag, that's awesome that you still have going. So my mom was the cash in the bag lady.
That's awesome.
There you go.
Yeah.
Started it all.
I was on Channel 10. She was the cash in the bag lady, and we billeted Harlan.
And
There you
Harlan,
go.
one of the original goaltenders, right?
Yeah, absolutely. He was the first pick ever in what they called then the Maritime draft.
Right.
So they had the Maritime draft, and also drafted in that draft was the king of hockey cards in Nova Scotia, Brad Hartland. He was taken in that draft. Big Daddy Donald McLean, John Sim, Colin White. It was a good draft.
Donald
And
McLean's
this
son
is how
was-
nerd I am. Who is that?
I was going to say Donald McLean's son, Fenwick, was just drafted in this past Q draft by the Newfoundland Regiment.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
How old we
that's small. That's crazy. So this is how big of a nerd I am, guys. I've always been curious about this Maritime draft, like how it went down and stuff, and you can never find anything on it.
No.
And I remembered there was an article in the Daily News, but the Daily News archives don't exist anywhere. This is how big of a nerd I am. So I'm on vacation in Nova Scotia, and I'm in Halifax visiting my dad, and I trot up to the new library, reach through the archives of the Daily News, and I found the article on
Amazing.
the 1994 Maritime draft. So
That's awesome.
That's pretty nerdy, boys.
That is vacation dedication.
Vacation dedication. So what did you do in Nova Scotia? Whale watch, walk on the beach. Went to the public library and searched through archives of an obscure draft from 1994 in junior hockey. Okay.
Well, I guess the rest of us know where to go now. So to get that stuff.
Totally. Yeah, that's a good library, man. Just put that out there.
Yeah.
Hey, but don't be the guy that says, "Oh, I read Ken's book. I got it at the library. I need the 50 cents from the sale of this book."
Yeah,
That's right.
Don't get it at the library. There's nothing worse than somebody coming up and going, and listen, no other author's going to tell you this, boys. I'm just being honest. "Oh, I read your book." "Oh, really?" "Yes, I got it at the library." "Oh, thanks. Thanks for the support.
Perfect.
That's awesome." Yeah, nothing against the libraries and stuff, you know.
Yeah.
You should
They're
have
valuable
a,
resources.
you should have a tap. If anybody does that, they have to tap the card.
That's right.
Give
Like
you the
tapping
money.
the app.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Just tapping the app.
Yeah.
Tap the card. Tap the app, tap the card. Yeah, and 50 cents gets into my PayPal account.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned Allie McDonald. How well do you know Allie at all? You're from that neck of the woods. Did you go to his hockey school? Because it seems like everybody did.
I did not, but my brother did. Okay.
Right.
So I wasn't good enough to go to Allie McDonald Hockey School. Like, it had to be legit.
He'll
I
take
was kinda
anybody's
getting
money.
older then.
Yeah.
No. So Allie was a beauty. So my brother went there, and then I kind of lived vicariously through my brother, right? Because he played Bantam A and AAA midget and all that stuff, and I was playing midget C. But yeah, everybody knows Allie up that neck of the woods, and he trains some really good players. And to see a guy that loves the game so much be able to, like Cam, stick around his home province and contribute to the game so much, it's awesome. Yes, everybody has an Allie McDonald. I think he would be the Antigonish version of Huey Sim, the late Huey Sim.
Yep.
John, Mike, and Andrew's dad. Like, there's just the beautiful thing about the game is the game happens because of people like Allie who get back to it in Halifax. People like Huey Sim who get back to it in Pictou County. There's always those guys who are kind of the king of their county. So that's what Allie would be to Antigonish for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Ken, we don't want to take up too much of your time. We're going to finish off here. Brad's going to read you some quick hits. Just first thing that comes to your mind here.
Yeah.
Favorite Mooseheads player of all time?
Jody Shelley.
Easy. NHL player. Favorite NHL player?
99. If Wayne had a church, I would be a parishioner.
Okay. Favorite NHLer to deal with outside of the game?
Like current or former?
Whatever you want.
You know what? It's an amazingly long list. I will say that. And I can't pick just one. People are asking me. I write hockey books because I love hockey and I'm passionate about hockey. 2 of my books were called Hockey Card Stories. And people said, "Why don't you write a baseball card stories book? That would sell." I'm like, "Yeah, it sure would, but I don't want to call up some crusty old baseball players. Hockey players are the best, man."
Yeah.
I'm so fortunate in my life that I work at a station that gives me a little street cred, and when I started calling people for my books, they'd call me right back. And I don't want to be a Rolodex bragger, but I can call guys whose cards I collected, and guys who are in the Hall of Fame, and guys who I worship since I was 8 years old, and then they'll call me right back. If not, they pick up the phone right then, and they're kind and they're humble, and that's why I love dealing with hockey players. So I I hate to be the Lay's potato chip guy, not pick just one, but I really can't. I really can't just pick just one.
This might be the same, but favorite hockey card of all time.
Wayne Gretzky rookie card, 79-80 Peachy, and it has to be my copy. My mom came back from an auction in Westville. Yes, the cash in the bag lady. With a box of cards she got for $10. And my brother and I rooted through it. And we're like, oh my God, they're the blue ones. There's going to be a Gretzky rookie in here. Sure enough, halfway through, there it is. And we go through the rest. There's no more. We look at each other. We look at the card. I want it. I want it. And it was like Jody, Shelley squaring off with Peter Worrell at the Halifax Metro Center in 1997. We were chucking. It was like the greatest hockey fight I've ever seen in person. New Year's Day, Carlisle Lewis against Trevor Ettinger. God rest his soul.
Yeah.
They went up and down the ice for 3 minutes, and my mom played young Gord Dwyer, the ref. Stop, stop, stop. You can share it. And my brother they were like this, and we thought, that's kind of a good idea, Ma.
Yeah.
So to this day, my brother and I share custody of the 79-80 Peachy Wayne Gretzky rookie card, but he does live at my house. I'll just put that out.
Okay, so
Just like
Brother
that
gets
Simpsons,
visitation. Yes.
episode with Radioactive Man, right? The comic
Radioactive
book.
Man? Is that the Carl Yastrzemski sideburn
Or
episode too?
maybe that's what it was. Yeah.
Yeah, Radioactive Man.
Favorite sports name you've had to say on air?
Oh man, I wish I could say Dick Pole on air, but he retired from the Boston. He retired from the Boston Red Sox ages ago. There's no doubt about it, and I've been loving the last 2 weeks because I get to say on national TV without a consequence, and I get compensated for saying the Big Dumper.
Yeah, what a nickname.
Yeah, that's a great one.
Best NHL fight in person or on air?
In person, I was there the night Steve McIntyre knocked out Ivanons, so I saw that coming up on Instagram a bit. That was a good one in person. Geez, I remember Nashville and Calgary going at it hard one night in Calgary when I was there for that. So best one in person would be McIntyre against Ivanons because that was expected and it happened. You hate seeing a guy get knocked out. So it had a nasty end. Geez, Alex Gallant had another good one the other night for the Calgary Wranglers. That kid's a gift of hockey right there.
Yeah.
And back in the Maritime League, geez, I did a bench brawl once, Antigonish against Dartmouth, where Ben Metzger jumped on a kid at the end. That got pretty nasty. So that was the craziest one I've ever seen. I remember Mike called, the benches have cleared. The benches have cleared. I used to have it on VHS. I don't know where that tape is, but I'm sure somebody out there has it, and I've never seen it pop up on YouTube. But if you go on YouTube and you put in East Hants Penguins, a bunch of fights come up, and it shows a fight with Brian Oliver. I'm on play-by-play.
Nice.
He could go. He played for East Hants, and he could go. He's shirtless at the end. He's skating around. So it was tough to beat those scraps in the Maritime League. But now that I think about it, the best one I ever saw in person was Carlisle Lewis against Trevor Ettinger.
Nice.
It was on a New Year's Day at the Halifax Metro Center, and I swear they went for 3 minutes up and down the ice. And I found it a couple years ago. I don't know if it was on YouTube or what, but I did find it. And Trevor Ettinger was a special kid. He played Pictou County Weeks, so rest his soul. Former Cape Breton Screaming Eagle. But yeah, Carlisle Lewis against Trevor Ettinger would be the best fight I ever saw in person.
And last one here is favorite bar or restaurant in Halifax?
Does the Palachi count for anything?
Sure does.
The Palace?
Yeah.
Fine
foods.
I like
fine dining.
I'll tell you what my favorite one is right now. It's the Bicycle Thief, because whenever I go there, Dad pays.
Hey, nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I got to tack one more on your favorite
Yeah.
NHL tough guy of all time.
Awesome question. Wow.
Outside of Cam.
Yeah. Can't say
Outside
Cam.
Cam. All right. Wow. This is it. You can't pick just one. I'm going to go with And I bet you if you asked me this tomorrow, it would be a different result. I'm going to go with Tiger Williams.
Nice.
Just because Tiger loved to win and Tiger wore his heart on his sleeve. If he was upset, you knew he was upset. If he was happy, you knew he was happy. And the other guy I'll go with, I got to give Bob Probert some props.
Yeah.
Some props. Jeez, I mean, he was amazing. Did you know that I want to say in 88, somewhere around there, the all-time record for points in a season by a Detroit Red Wing was held by Gordie Howe, and Bob Probert broke that record.
That's
He got
crazy.
21 points. Like, I think that's just amazing.
Yeah.
So Bob Probert. And also, I think there's a tough guy that's misunderstood, and that's Dave Semenko.
Yeah.
Dave Semenko did not fight all the time. I've heard guys tell me stories about Dave Semenko. He'd skate up to the open and face off. He'd say, "Are we going to play tonight, or are we going to fool around?" And they'd look at Dave. They'd say, "We'd play. We'll play." So they'd stay away from Wayne.
Right.
But when he went, he went. There are some videos, and it's usually against the Edmonton Oilers. There's one from the Corral. Semenko's fighting Timmy Hunter. Tell me how this would go over today. He's fighting Hunter. Hunter's kind of down. He's bent over. Semenko, boom, UFC knee right in the face. Boom, UFC knee right in the face. 5 minutes each for fighting. Like, oh my God.
Yeah.
That happened today. Who knows? But
He'd be in
I think
jail.
Semenko belongs there because he could intimidate by not having to fight.
Yeah.
And he could just give a guy a look. Tiger had that glare too, but he could give a guy a look that said, "Want to play or want to frig around?" And it's like, okay, we'll just play, Mr. Semenko.
Yeah.
And I think as much as people have tried to take that out of the game, look at the teams who win at the end of every year.
Mm-hmm.
They're good and they're also tough. So it's reality. There's a difference between reality hockey and fantasy hockey. And when one assembles a fantasy hockey team, you can't have just the little skinny guys on Nintendo hockey, guys. You need those big little fat guys who skate around too, right? And cream other dudes.
Yeah.
Making room, boys. Making room.
That's right.
Semenko could make room for Wayne, so he's up there.
Yeah.
Probert for Gretzky and Tiger for everybody.
Yeah. Tiger, I remember seeing when I was like 9 years old in an old timers game, and probably my favorite player on the ice then, riding the stick after he scored the goal.
Oh,
Just unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I played alumni games with him and celebrity games with him, and he'll stick you. He doesn't care. He'll still do it.
Plays the same way.
Yeah.
Oh, he does. And,
Yeah.
he plays that way because of his passion for the game.
Yeah.
I mean, the game is, you got to make room out there, man. And Tiger could make some room.
Well, Ken, thank you so much for joining us today. Your new book, the next one, Hockey Scouts, Remote Rinks and Hidden Talent, is out now. Tell everybody how they can get their hands on it.
Well, boys, thanks for having me. It's awesome to talk Mooseheads. You can get the book wherever fine books are sold, like your local bookstore. You can also get it on Amazon, but support your local bookstore if you can. They keep the book world alive. And this is the cool thing about the book, guys. Look at this. I'm not classy enough to have a hardcover. Look at that. You can fit it right in the stocking if you're curved,
Nice.
right? But pick it up. If you enjoy hockey stories, you'll enjoy this book. And to me, it's these are the kind of stories where if you sat at a guy, one of the scouts with a bar, and you want to pick his ear for the good stories, these are the ones you want to tell him. So I just wrote them down.
Awesome.
Beautiful. Thank you again. It's been a pleasure. And we'll talk again soon.
There we go. Pucks in deep.
Thanks, Ken.
Yeah, great chat with Ken there. I think we could have kept going on for a couple more hours.
Oh my God, yeah. He's a great storyteller. It was awesome to have him on.
Yeah, I felt like we needed to maybe be mindful of his time. He's actually get a real job as opposed to some of these guys we're talking to. Right?
Yeah. He's he's busy. He's a busy man.
Yeah. Well, I hope you enjoyed it, everyone, and thank you for tuning in to watch or to listen with us today. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe bell button and be notified whenever our next episode is coming out.
And if you're listening on your favorite podcast platform, make sure to subscribe, give us 5 stars, and leave us a review.
All right. Thanks for tuning in, everyone.